Okay. That was just a little hand wiggle that we had going on there. Yay! So today I'm talking about love and freedom. So freedom this month is the topic of the month. And I just wanted to share a couple of stories with you, actually 3 stories, and then I'm going to talk about why we forgive. And so, as our church, CSL, has the motto and the object of a world that works for everyone, we also see a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for error, justice, or injustices or debt, is the norm. So the science of mind point of view is that forgiveness moves us out of victimhood into recognition that life always supports us. And Ernest Holmes said, any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. Any form which is not of the original subject is subject to change. So whatever is not in God, which is nothing, can be changed with our thoughts. So a couple of stories that I wanted to share. In 1984, Wilma and Cliff Dirkson's 13-year-old daughter, Candace, went missing on her way home from school in Winnipeg, Canada. So she was missing for 3 weeks, and they finally found her body, and she had been bound and held hostage for they didn't know how long. And it took 22 years for the perpetrator to be found. And on the night that they found her body, Wilma and Cliff welcomed people into their homes, and they brought food and loving kindness and surrounded them and wrapped them in love. And so as the evening came to a close, about 10:30 at night, there was a knock on the door, and a stranger stood at the door, and he said that he also was a parent of a murdered child, and they now belonged to an exclusive club that few wanted to join. And so they invited him in, and he talked for a couple of hours. And he told them every detail of what he had lost as a result of the death of his child. He lost his health, he lost his relationships, his concentration, his ability to work. He even lost all memory of his daughter. He even lost all memory of his daughter because he can only think of the murder and the trauma and the hate that followed. So Wilma and Cliff were dumbstruck. And they went to bed that evening, and they made an agreement with each other based on his graphic and horrific picture of the results of the death of his child. So I'm quoting her now, having been through the pain of losing our daughter, it now seemed we might lose everything else as well. And so we made a decision that night that we would respond differently. And we chose the path of forgiveness. I don't think we had any idea what forgiveness looked like in the face of murder. But our state of mind at the time was such that we knew we had to say no to anger and obsession. We determined to resist anything that could keep us in a state of emotional bondage, both for our sake and for the sake of our 2 other children. Forgiveness is a hard word, she says. It demands a lot of you, and it is so often misunderstood. In times, it was incredibly tough. People said we couldn't have loved Candace because we forgave. One woman said my stance was dangerous because I was promoting a society where all murderers could go free. But it's true that your enemy become your best and most wonderful teacher, because people's reaction taught us who our friends really were. You can't play games around murder. There's a kind of vulnerability and transparency that occurs, and you have to become a better person to get through. You can't stand around in the fog. You need to soar, to go higher. That's forgiveness, she said. For me, she continued, forgiving has been about turning what happened to us into good. Forgiveness is not just a one-time event, nor does it mean you're doing the same thing again and again. The issues of Candace's murder present themselves differently every day. Forgiveness is fresh, ongoing, ever-present position of the mind which takes on many different forms. It's a promise of what we want to do, a goal, a North Star, a mantra. And they ultimately did, as I said, after 22 years, find the perpetrator of Candace's murder. And that went to trial, and then there was a retrial. So over and over again, Norma and Cliff were asked to forgive and to forgive and to forgive. I'm reminded of the line of the Lord's Prayer. Some people who were raised as Catholic call it the Our Father. And the line is so powerful and so universally true. It is, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So forgiveness is about a balance of self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others. It can't be faked, as Wilma said, no matter what the circumstances or the situation is, because we can't fool ourselves. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgiveness is not weakness, but it's one of the most courageous things we as humans are called to do. Forgiveness is not weak, passive, or for the faint of heart. It calls us to know the depths of our own courage and trust in our relationship with the God of our understanding. This kind of strength can be witnessed in people who have been able to forgive in situations most of us cannot even imagine. For instance, the forgiveness demonstrated by the family and friends in the recent shooting in Charleston, South Carolina. It's an example of courage. One of the survivors, who lost her son, says it's important that their legacy live in love so that hate does not win. She and others knew clearly that God was much bigger than the incident, and that change would come only through love, not the perpetuation of more violence, even if it was simply holding hatred in their hearts. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. David Alvira was the father of one of the young women gunned down at the Pulse in Orlando. Amanda had made it out safely. That was his daughter's name. And she had gone back into the Pulse to see about the safety of her friend, Mercedes Flores. Both young women were killed. In conversation with a reporter, David Alvira told the reporter that he had forgiven the shooter, Omir Martin. He and his family even started the hashtag Hugs, Not Hate. When the reporter asked him how he could be so forgiving, his answer was simple. Love. Love, baby, love. They talk about love, hate, this and that. But the bottom right, we love each other. You gotta learn how to forgive, he says. So many of you have heard my ongoing saga with the upstairs neighbor that I find quite challenging. And I think it was Wednesday night, they had a party, and it was noisy and raucous and just really loud till like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. They were out sweeping the yard and being loud and obnoxious, but there wasn't any overt violence. So the next morning when I got ready to leave the house, I noticed that my patio, there was cigarette butts and trash, and also dog caca up on the fence. Now I know that my dogs had not done that. They couldn't have gotten to the fence. And I was just really like aggravated, and I was like ready to storm off to the management and say blah 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 blah. And my eye fell on Science Mind magazine. And I remembered that my topic today was about forgiveness. And I remembered that it takes courage to be the one to not react. It takes courage to be the one to not react. And therefore, I kind of talked myself down. And I sat down and I just prayed for the highest and best good for all concerned. And then I opened my patio door to let the dog out, and I heard this guy talking about signing a real estate contract. And it became clear to me, I wasn't eavesdropping, but it became clear to me that he's moving. I said, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So then yesterday, I went out to my car, and it was parked just in front of his car. And the back tailgate of my car was open. Now, I had a few boxes of books. Somebody gave me boxes of books, and I've been dealing books out of the trunk of my car. So I've been being the book dealer out of the trunk of my car. And I could tell that someone had gone through those books. And I figured that had to be that jerky guy upstairs. I just knew it. And as I was fuming to myself, I just love the way this happens, my eye fell upon this. I'd not seen it before. And it is a collection of Christian Science books. And I found this that I had never seen, never read. It's called Pro Works of the Science of Health. And reminding you, I was lit. There was this little piece of paper, and it said, miscellaneous writings, prose work, page 223, taking offense, especially lines 11, page 224. So, taking offense, Mary Baker Eddy had this message for me. There is immense wisdom in the old proverb, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. Then it said on page 224, we should remember that the world is wide, that there are 1,000 million different human wills, opinions, ambitions, tastes, and loves, that each person has a different history, constitution, culture, character from the rest, that human life is the work, the play, the ceaseless action and reaction upon each other of these different atoms. Then we should go forth into life with the smallest expectations, but with the largest patience, with a keen relish for and appreciation of everything beautiful, great, and good, but with a temper so genial that the friction of the world should not wear upon our sensibilities, and with an inequity so settled that no passing breath nor accidental disturbance shall agitate or ruffle us, with a charity broad enough to cover the whole world's evil, and sweet enough to neutralize what is bitter in it, determined not to be offended when no wrong is meant, nor even when it is. Thank you, God. Really? I just think that's delicious. Twice, the universe spoke to me in very clear languages to remind me that forgiveness is a blessing. So why do we forgive? The reason to forgive is that hatred and blame drains off your energy and reduces your ability to love or to live in peace. So for every angry, blaming thought you have, you are trading off your ability to have loving, peaceful thoughts. It's like cutting off your love circulation. The second reason is that blame and hate just feel icky. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Why do I want to do that to myself? So making a commitment to do whatever you have to do to feel better. And that includes sitting in peace. It includes being slow to anger. It includes just allowing the universe to take care of it all. Because those people are going to move. So when you hold a grievance against others, you're living in the past. When you hold a grievance, you are living in the past. And furthermore, you're turning your power over to someone else. Claim your power by forgiving. You can hope for health, love, and prosperity, or you can work hard to get them. It's your choice. Forgiveness is about personal power. You're giving away your personal power. A life well lived is your best revenge. Instead of focusing on your wounded feelings and thereby giving the person who caused you pain power over you, learn to look for the love, beauty, and kindness around you. Everything I forgive, however small, leads me to my unity with Spirit. Everything I ever forgive, no matter how small, leads me to unity with Spirit. So, there's a lot of opportunities in this world right now to be anxious, to be angry, to be blaming. And there also is a lot of opportunity in this world to be loving, to be supportive, and to be at peace. So I encourage you to make a personal choice for love and for peace. And as I say every week, I truly, truly love each of you. Namaste. So I would invite the practitioners to join me as we hold this community in a consciousness of love. settle into that place where love resides. Love, love, baby, love. Hugs, not hate. I know that I am at choice to forgive, to be at peace. I am at choice to liberate all of my energy that is expended in negativity and to reclaim that energy for love, for joy, for peace, for harmony, for alignment with spirit. I allow myself to let go of angst and anger. I allow myself to live in the present, which is filled with love. And I trust the divine wholly and completely. To be at action in peace. I trust the divine to correct all of my false beliefs. I am so grateful for the good of each one present, the good of the lives of each present, the good for the philosophy of this spiritual community. I just celebrate it all. And I trust the divine to set it all straight. And I invite you to join with me in that trust and that faith by saying